Hey guys, and welcome back to a new series that I'm going to be in charge of. And in this, I'm going to teach you how to code the basics of Bukkit. And so basically, I'm going to be using Eclipse for this, since that's the easiest to use. There's other ones like IntelliJ. There's other ones you can use, but I tend to use Eclipse. It's more user friendly and stuff like that. So this is how you're gonna get to it. If you're not familiar, if you don't already have it, then this is how you're gonna get it. So you're gonna go to eclipse.org, and once you get there, you're gonna probably be brought up with this page. And then what you're gonna click is download, then click on this one right here, Eclipse IDE for Java developers, and then click on whatever one you have, 32-bit or 64-bit, and it'll say it in your control panel. Go to control panel, and then you go to system, and then it will say right here, 64-bit operating system. That's what you have. You got to get that. So I have a 64. I already have it, so I'm not going to bother with it. But you click this, it'll say you click on this link, you'll start downloading it, and then you just install it. And then you'll have it. So then what you're going to want to do after that is you're going to probably want to get like a little test server. So I'm using the latest Spigot MC, the 1.8 build, not the hacked protocol that allows 1.7 and 1.8. I'm using the complete 1.8 jar. There'll be a download link in the description if you want this. And so I'm just going to set it up real quick. So what you're going to want to do is just double click that. Then it will slowly create everything. And there's a eula.txt. You're going to want to put that to true. You're going to want to set this to true so that you can actually use the server, because if you don't set that to true, it will not be able to be run. Now I'm just going to quickly grab a startup script from mine. From my other one, and I'm just gonna edit this and make it so that it's already in this. This will be in the description too. This right here is how much how much RAM you're gonna put into the server. Do not put in 8 gigs. I'd recommend anything like under 50% of your processor. I don't know why I'm in that. Anything, like, once again, it's right here, installed memory RAM. I have 8, so I would recommend putting under 4 gigs. Don't put over 4 gigs. You can put this, or you can put like 1 G as well. That'll work. But I tend to use megabytes since it's more accurate. So then just start it up. And it will start itself up. I don't know. Well, mine always goes to 4 gigs anyways, so just don't worry about that, I guess. So once this is all done, you're gonna have just a blank server, and you won't be able to create anything on this right yet. It's just gonna quickly go through all of the worlds. As you can see, it's got a lot of stuff in this folder now. Plugins, it won't have anything yet. That's what we're gonna do in the future. So what you're gonna want to do is direct connect to localhost. We'll be setting an IP later on. Connect to localhost. You'll be in your server. Here we are, and yeah, this is us. So I'm the only one on here. Once again, it is Spigot. 45 versions behind. Okay, I'm gonna have to update that. I guess I'm not using the latest version. I'm gonna have to update that. Okay, well, anyways, so after you've done this and you know that you have the latest version will be the one that's in the description. I'm gonna update it before I put the link to it. So basically, since we're in here already, this is a nice world. /seed. Oh, I don't have permission. Okay, well, anyways, what you're gonna want to do is op and then your name, and then I'll be able to do this. There's the seed if you want it. It's a pretty nice world. But anyways, let's get back on track. So after you've downloaded the latest Spigot version, what you're going to want to do is, if you already have Eclipse, you're pretty much ready. So I'm going to teach you how to do like a basic command in this one, and then if you want something else, recommend it in the comments and I'll look at them. So we're going to hop in Eclipse, and I'm not going to stop the server because there's not really any point. And then I'm going to click on new project, new Java project. This is going to pop up. Name it whatever you want. This name doesn't matter. This isn't what it's going to pop up in your plugins. So I'm just going to call it test, I guess. And then make sure you're using Java 8. You can be using Java 7, but for this I'm using Java 8. There's not much difference. They just added a bunch of more variables and stuff, so there's not much of a difference if you're still on Java 7. But I forgot to say you must have Java runtime environment. If you don't already have that, make sure to get it. It's JRE for short. There'll be a link for 1.8 for JRE 1.8. I'm gonna turn down my sound, put it to 17%, and let's start this. So basically we're already here. What you're going to do is you're going to click Properties, and then Java Build Path, and then you're going to want to click on Libraries if you're not already there. Click on Add External Jars, and then click on the one that you just got. This is mine right here. This is the one that I'm using for my server. These are other. BungeeCord is a proxy, and Bucket, I'm pretty sure you know what that is. I just tend to use the server, like the jar that the server is running off of. I don't know why, but there is Bucket API builds. I don't use those, so I just use these. You click OK, it'll be reference libraries will pop up. Right there will be Spigot. So now once we have this, you're gonna want to right click your source, new package, and now this is where you're gonna create all of your everything pretty much. So we're gonna start off with me dot and then your Minecraft name, so btdf hamster dot test. That's whatever this name is. Whatever you name this, you have to put here. Once again, this will not be the name of the plugin. This is just for like storage reasons. So after you do this, you're gonna want to right click it, new, then class, and then you can name this whatever. I usually call mine core or main. I'm gonna call it core because that's what I tend to do. Your Eclipse is probably not gonna be like this type of skin. To do that, you gotta go into here and then preferences, and then it's in here, and appearance, general appearance, and then theme, dark, color and font theme, default, apply, and OK, and you're good. So that's if you want to use this instead of the default white. So now what you're going to want to do is, once you have this, you're going to want to implement, you're going to want to first extend Java plugin. And what that's going to do is it's pretty much going to tell Bucket that this is the main class, and this is going to be the one where everything's going to start off in. So if something's red, hover over it, and it should say import something, like if, I'll show you again, be like that. It should say import something, and then org.bucket. Most things are going to be from org.bucket, but if there is no org.bucket, there's probably Java, so use the Java if there's no bucket. And okay, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make an override, and I'm going to make 2 of these, and you do public void on enable, and then I'm not going to really put anything in here because I don't really have anything to put there yet. And you do the same with this. I'm not going to put anything here either because I don't have anything yet. So now we have our 2 on enable and on disable. If you do not have these, the plugin will not load, so make sure you do have these. And I just realized we're gonna have to have something here. So you're going to want to git server and then .git plugin manager .register events and this. So this is doing it's you're gonna want to actually, yeah, you're gonna want to implement listener as well. What this is gonna do is it's gonna read all of the things, it's gonna read all of your events in this class. If you want to use a different class for a command, you'd have to do new and then the name of it, so name and then brackets, and you'd be good. And you'd hover over this and you'd import yours. You'd import whatever it is, but I'm not doing that right now. So you just, if you're just having everything in the main and core or main, in my sake it's core, you just have this. So then if you're gonna want to create a command, which we're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to git command and then brackets. Actually, this is for this is for if you are having multiple class files. I'll go over that later. I'm not going to do that right yet, but we'll do that later. So now I'll make a basic command. So you're going to want to do it @event handler. You can use @override. I tend to use event handler because then you can do a little bit more than just normal things, than just things that you can do with commands. You can do a little bit more. So I tend to use event handler. Now if there's something red, it'll tell you something, it'll say something if you hover over it. This specific error, what it's telling me is I need something under it, because right now it's just empty. It's warning me that it's empty, and it will, if you have a warning, you will not be able to export this, you won't be able to use this. So what you're going to want to do is public boolean and then on command, and then for this what you're going to want to do is command sender, and then whatever you want to use for sender, for command sender, I'm just going to use sender and put a comma and then command once again whatever you want, but I'm going to use CMD, and string label, once again you can use whatever you want, and then string args. Okay, so I'll give you a little rundown on this, but first I'm going to import all of these. So I don't have red things, I'm going to have to return false. So return false, oh, that's not how you spell false. There we go. And now it's not a working command yet, but we got it laid out. So basically, a boolean is a true or false statement. In this case, we're returning false. If they do not perform the command that we're going to create, it'll return false. So like nothing happened. And then these command sender, this is what you're saying for sender. Instead of saying like command sender dot whatever, you're using sender dot whatever. Now you have to do this because you can't use command sender. You can't use that normally. You have to use whatever you define. And also CMD, that's another thing, and label, that's different. Label is different. I don't tend to use that very often. I don't use label very often. But okay, so this right here is just defining what these are. So everything in white text, that's what it is, and everything in like blue or dark blue text, that's what it actually is. So now what we're going to want to do is, since we have this set up, we're going to want to create the command. So what we're going to want to do is if, and then CMD. If you put something else for command CMD right here, you put something else right here, switch out CMD with whatever you put right here. It'll do the same thing, nothing will be different. So if cmd.getName dot equals ignore case, you don't have to have equals ignore case, but if you don't have equals ignore case, it won't execute the command if they're typing in all caps, or if they're typing in all lowercase if you type the command in all caps. So I always use equals ignore case just in case, and then put one of these in other brackets. I'll tell you what these brackets do. These brackets, this is what's inside of them. So if cmd.getName equals ignore case, this is what it's gonna do if this is true. So if the player types in the command that you put in right here, then it'll execute whatever's in between these two brackets. The same thing with this, it's just the content that's inside of it. So now you're going to want to type in here whatever you want to type in. I'm going to type in test again, and then you put in right here is whatever you want to do with the command. So I'm going to make it send them a message. So you're going to want to send message, and then have in brackets, put in whatever you want. If you have a number pad on your keyboard, if you hold Alt on either Alt, and then you press 2, left off of 2, press 1, lift off of 1, lift off of Alt, it'll pop up with this little thing right here. This is for creating colors in your command. You can use this differently. You can use chat color dot whatever you want. So like, just make sure you're using org.bucket and not API of Bungie or anything. Make sure you're using bucket. So you can go like that, and then you make sure you put a plus there. But I'm not going to use that because I don't like using those. So if this happens, you're not using it. So just remove it, unused import. You're good. Like nothing happened. So I'm gonna make it say like I'm gonna make it say in green, this works. So now we're gonna test out this command and see if it works. So before we do this, we're gonna want to right click source, go to new, and then go to file. And then what you're gonna want to do in here is plugin.yml. If any of you have tried to dissect a plugin, you would have noticed that there's a plugin.yml here. And this is, and what the plugin.yml is for, it tells Bucket everything that's in your class. So if you don't have a plugin.yml, it will not, the plugin will not work. Nothing will work actually. So what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to do name. So this is the name of the plugin. It's gonna pop up when you do /plugins. So I'm gonna put in test, and then author, and whatever your Minecraft name is, or whatever you want to put your name is. You can put your real name, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna put my Minecraft name, just because why not. Version, this is the version of the plugin. So whatever your version is, if you're version 1.0 or version 0.3, then you put it right here. I'm gonna do 1.0. I don't usually update those. I should, but I don't. I have my own little one that pops up in a command. So then after that, you're gonna want to do commands. So if you don't have this, it will not work. Like you won't be able to do anything necessarily. You won't like, your command will not be read. So you're gonna want to type in command, and then whatever your command is, you're gonna do that, and then whatever that is, description. This is what's gonna pop up in the description. If you do /help and then the plugin name, it will say the description of the command. So I'm just gonna do, this is a test, and you can set a permission. I'm not going to, but I'm just gonna show you how you do it. You type in permission, and then you type in whatever permission it is. So like test or whatever you want to do. And then if you do have a permission, you're gonna want it to do permission -message, and then this is what it's gonna pop up when they don't have the permission. So like, you don't have the permissions. I'm not gonna do this since I don't have a permission set for this, but that's how you would do it. So you're pretty much done with this class, except unless you want to do permissions. This is how you do them. If you did set a permission for that, you're gonna want to set a permission, and then whatever permission you want to create. So say test dot staff and true if you had that, or if you have one that you want to have like test dot non donor, and then you can have like children. So this is what's gonna do with this is if they have their permission test dot non donor under children, if you put like say test dot poop true and help dot poop true, or test dot jump, I don't know, I'm just putting random things, false. I can't even type. Okay. If you give them, or their rank, test.non-donor, they will get these permissions as well. So they will get all these permissions as well as this if they have this one. I'm not going to do this because I don't really see a point of this. But this is how you would do it. So test. I'm not going to have any permissions because I don't have any permissions set, so I'm not going to do that. And basically we're pretty much done for now. So we're going to save each one. I'm going to right click test, go to export tab and click on that. Make sure you're in the Java folder, click on jar file and then click next. Uncheck these two. You don't have to uncheck them, but I always uncheck them. And then make sure your test is the only one that's selected. I have 2 other plugins. I'm not going to select those 2 because I'm not exporting them all in one. And put them wherever you want. Put this wherever you're going to want the wherever you're wanting the plugin to be at. So I'm going to put it at my testing server and then my plugins. So we're going to call it what are we going to call it? We're going to call it test.jar. We're going to finish it. It's going to be there. So now if we look in this, plugins, test.jar. Now if we reload the, oh, what did I do? Okay, so this is, oh yeah, okay, I forgot. Do not use tab in your plugin.yml. You want to always use spaces. So you want to always use spaces, never use tabs, because YML files, YAML files, they do not like tabs. So I'm just going to quickly export it again. So yeah, make sure you don't press tab while you're making that. And I did something else. Main is not defined. Oh yeah, okay, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put main, and then what your main class is. So mine's test, no, it's me.bttfhamster.test.core. So what this is it's telling where the main class is. In this case it's right here, so you're just telling the directory of it. So me.bttfhamster.test, and then it's in core. So each dot, everything that's after a dot is a new folder. So if you open up a plugin, you'd probably see me, and then another folder, bttfhamster, and then another one, the plugin's name, and then in another folder would be, and then in the test folder would be the core.class if it's compiled, or core.java if it isn't. So we're good with that. I'm going to quickly export it again and uncheck those 2 and save it. And then we're pretty good. So then you're gonna want to reload, and then there we go. It didn't. And then if we do /test, this works. So that's basically a normal command. You can put anything you want there, but for this episode, that's all I'm gonna really do. I'm gonna teach you if you want to have more than just normal. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Why am I in? Okay. So if you want to have more than one line, you're gonna want to do sender.sendMessage again, and then put in whatever you want, and then I'm gonna put this in red. Another line. So you can type in whatever you want in these. It doesn't really matter. And I'm gonna export it and save and finish and reload. If we go into this /test, another line. So this is basically the really basic things about this. So in this one, I've said how to create a basic command, and also how to set up your own server pretty much. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to see another one, like it and say what you want in the next one in the comments. And yeah, so I guess that'll be the end for now. And see ya.